The message came through a shimmering mist of quantum distortion, its tone laced with a desperate undercurrent of fear. As Grand Admiral Vrissel of the Karn Alliance fleet reviewed the report, he felt an emotion he hadn't known in over a century of conquest and interstellar dominance: unease. Thousands of years of interstellar history lay behind the Karn, their empire stretching across 7 spiral arms, yet here, on the fringes of their galactic borders, lay a mystery unsolved. Earth. A backwater planet in the Sol system, inhabited by an embarrassingly primitive species, the humans. Yet something about this insignificant world defied logic. It was a planet that had, for all purposes, remained untouched by the greater galaxy. Fleet after fleet had been sent to investigate, to seize it, to harness whatever secret it was hiding. None had returned. Vrissel clicked his mandibles, the sound sharp against the silence of the command chamber. He expanded the report before him, observing the last known transmission from the latest fleet, a massive armada of nearly 1,000 ships, which had been dispatched to Earth just 1 standard month ago. The message, fragmented and filled with static, was nothing but frantic screams, flashes of distorted images, and a chilling final phrase: "They're not what we thought." That had been it. A sudden and complete cut-off, like the hundreds before. The Karn Alliance, driven by logic, power, and conquest, had sent their finest to uncover what lay hidden on the tiny blue planet. Ships outfitted with the most advanced shielding, weaponry, and technological prowess. Yet Earth, seemingly ordinary and defenseless, swallowed them whole. No wreckage. No survivors. Just an eerie silence. Vrissel steeled himself. As Grand Admiral, it was his duty to lead, to uncover the truth. He tapped into the communications network and summoned his top officers, a council of war-hardened minds. Within moments, the massive holographic projections of the fleet commanders filled the chamber. "Admiral," began Commander Varix, a grizzled veteran with scars crisscrossing his leathery skin, "we have lost more ships to this one insignificant system than in our last 5 campaigns combined. Our intelligence suggests the humans are still in their nuclear age. This disappearance of our fleets is illogical." "It is illogical," Vrissel replied, his voice cold and sharp. "But it's undeniable. We need to understand what's happening before we send more forces blindly into the void. Perhaps it's some form of advanced technology hidden on their world," Commander Drawl proposed, his many eyes flickering with suspicion. "A rogue species discovered a weapon they don't even comprehend. Something we missed." "It doesn't matter what it is," Vrissel interrupted. "What matters is that it threatens us. And we do not leave threats unanswered." A somber silence followed his words. Each of the commanders understood the gravity of the situation. Earth had become a black hole for their ships. But Vrissel would not accept defeat. Not from a species like humanity. He stood and announced a plan. "We will send a single, highly specialized reconnaissance fleet. No overwhelming numbers. No bluster. Stealth. Precision. I will lead it personally." His officers murmured in surprise. The Grand Admiral himself? It was unheard of, for one of his station to risk himself so directly. But Vrissel had made up his mind. They were going to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. 3 weeks later, the Eclipsion, a sleek flagship outfitted with stealth fields, quantum-enhanced sensors, and silent gravitic drives, approached Earth from the far side of the moon. Vrissel stood at the command bridge, staring out through the forward viewport at the blue marble spinning quietly below. "Planetary scans complete, Admiral," the sensor officer reported. "Same as before. The humans have no significant orbital defenses. Low-level space traffic. Primitive satellites. Atmospheric scanning reveals basic industrial emissions. No indications of anything unusual." Vrissel nodded. It was all too ordinary, all too wrong. "Activate deep quantum sensors," he ordered. "I want every energy fluctuation, every distortion, every anomaly." The bridge was silent as the advanced systems powered up, casting invisible waves across the Earth and its surroundings, probing for something, anything, that could explain the disappearances. For a moment, everything seemed normal. And then the readings went wild. "Admiral! Massive quantum disturbance detected below Earth's surface," the sensor officer shouted. "It's unlike anything we've seen. Energy readings off the scale, and increasing. Shields up! Pull us back!" Vrissel commanded. But it was too late. A wave of darkness surged through space, not a physical force, but a distortion of reality itself. The stars outside the viewport seemed to stretch and twist as though space were being pulled apart. "Status report," Vrissel demanded, gripping the edge of his command chair. "We're caught in something, sir. No identifiable gravitational pull, but the distortion is warping space around the ship. Systems are going offline." Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered, and an overwhelming pressure seemed to push in on all sides. And then, just as quickly, everything went black. When the lights flickered back on, Earth was gone. The Eclipsion floated in a vast, empty void. Where are we?" Vrissel asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The sensor officer stared at his console in disbelief. "Unknown, sir. Star charts, they're completely blank. No recognizable celestial bodies. It's as if we're nowhere." Vrissel's mind raced. "Send a distress signal. Wideband. Let the fleet know." Before he could finish, the main view screen flared to life, displaying a figure. Human. A man, standing tall and cloaked in shadow, his eyes glowing with an unnatural light. He stared at Vrissel with a cold, eerie calm. "You shouldn't have come here," the man said, his voice reverberating through the bridge. Vrissel stood, stepping toward the screen. "Who are you? What have you done?" The man smiled, but it was devoid of warmth. "We've been watching you, Admiral. We've watched all of you. You think yourselves conquerors, gods among the stars. But there are forces in this universe that you do not understand." Vrissel sneered, refusing to be intimidated. "We will discover your secrets. Whatever weapon you're hiding." The man's expression darkened. "Weapon? You misunderstand. We are the weapon. And now you've come too close. You've seen too much." The screen flickered, and suddenly the bridge was filled with a low hum, growing louder with every passing second. Vrissel felt a pressure building inside his head, as if his thoughts were being twisted, pulled apart. His crew began to collapse one by one, their eyes wide with terror. "We are the Guardians," the man's voice echoed. "And this is your final warning. Leave Earth. Or cease to exist." The screen went black. Vrissel, struggling to maintain consciousness, managed to issue a final, desperate command to the remaining crew. "Get us out of here, now!" The ship's engines roared to life, the Eclipsion hurtling through the void as it attempted to escape. But even as they fled, Vrissel knew deep down that something had followed them, something ancient and unstoppable. Just as the ship's warp drive activated, pulling them back toward Karn space, the shadows on the bridge seemed to stretch and move, forming into impossible shapes. And then, as the distortion tore across the ship once more, there was only silence. On a distant Karn world, the distress signal from the Eclipsion flickered through the void, transmitting for a moment before vanishing into static. Another fleet, gone without a trace. But this time, there was a single garbled word that echoed through the silence of the transmission before it was cut off. Guardians. Back on Earth, deep beneath the surface, in a hidden facility, the man who had spoken to Vrissel stood before a council of his peers. Their faces were stern, their eyes glowing with the same strange light. "They'll come again," one of the council members said, his voice resonating with a quiet intensity. The man nodded. "Yes. And when they do, we'll be ready." The council chamber fell silent, and the man turned to gaze upward, toward the surface of Earth, where the sky shimmered with stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the reach of human eyes, the Karn Empire was already planning its next move. But Earth was no longer the unassuming planet it appeared to be. The humans had awakened something ancient. And now, they were no longer prey. They were predators. The awakening. Far across the galaxy, in the heart of the Karn Empire's sprawling capital, a storm was brewing. A holographic map of the galaxy floated above a massive war table, casting a blue glow across the vast chamber. At the center of the room stood Supreme Chancellor Threxer, a towering figure with a body hardened by centuries of command. His 8 arms were folded as he stared intently at the flickering projections. Another fleet lost. Another disaster on the edge of their empire. Grand Admiral Vrissel's final transmission played over and over in Threxer's mind. Guardians! It wasn't a word in any known language of the galaxy. Yet the terror in Vrissel's voice had been unmistakable. The fleet had been destroyed, swallowed by the same mysterious force that had obliterated every other incursion into the Sol system. Threxer's mandibles clicked together in frustration. The Karn were conquerors, their empire spanning 7 arms of the Milky Way. No species had ever stood in their way. None had ever had the strength. Yet here, on the fringes of their empire, on a backwater planet filled with an inferior species, they were being hunted. One by one, their fleets were disappearing into a black void, without explanation, without wreckage, without hope. This cannot continue, Threxer growled, his voice resonating throughout the chamber. His advisors shifted nervously in their seats, exchanging worried glances. It was rare to see the Supreme Chancellor so visibly unsettled. At the far end of the table, Commander Valen, one of the Empire's top intelligence officers, cleared his throat. Supreme Chancellor, he began cautiously. We've been analyzing the data from the Grand Admiral's last mission. The quantum disturbances he reported, they're unlike anything we've seen in known space. They suggest that Earth is surrounded by some kind of advanced spatial anomaly, possibly a weapon, or a naturally occurring phenomenon the humans have harnessed. Threxer turned his piercing gaze on Valen. And what of these? Guardians? We don't know. But the way the transmission was cut, the strange distortions in the signal, it suggests that whatever they are, they're not merely human. There's something else down there. Something ancient. The silence that followed was heavy with implication. The Tarn had encountered ancient forces before, forgotten relics of long-dead civilizations. But never had they been as elusive, as dangerous as this. Threxer's decision was made in an instant. Summon the Council of War, he commanded. Prepare a full invasion force. Earth will fall, or the Empire will collapse trying. Beneath the surface of Earth. Miles beneath the crust of the Earth, in a labyrinth of tunnels and high-tech chambers, the Council of Guardians gathered. The air hummed with energy, a barely contained force that seemed to vibrate through the walls themselves. The man from the previous encounter with the Tarn, an enigmatic figure known only as Nathaniel, stood at the center of the group, his expression as cold as the void of space. Around him, the council members, humans who no longer appeared fully human, watched him intently. Their eyes glowed with a faint, unnatural light, a consequence of their bond with the ancient power that had awakened deep within the earth. They were no longer simple mortals. They had become something far greater, something transcendent. The Karn will not stop, one of the council members, a woman named Zara, said. Her voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. They've sent hundreds of ships, and they'll send thousands more. Their pride won't let them abandon their quest for dominance. Nathaniel nodded. They believe they can crush us, like they have so many others. But they're wrong. They don't understand the power that Earth holds. There was a pause as Nathaniel turned to face the central console in the room, an ancient artifact that pulsed with energy. It had been buried deep beneath the Earth's surface for eons, long before humanity had even evolved. And now, after millennia of dormancy, it had awoken. We are the Guardians, Nathaniel continued. Not just of Earth, but of something much larger. The Karn think they're facing humans. They have no idea what lies beneath. Zara stepped forward, her eyes narrowing. But we need more than this power to defend ourselves. The Karn Empire is vast. They have millions of ships. We cannot fight them head-on, not yet. Agreed, Nathaniel said. But we don't need to fight them directly. The time has come to reveal our existence to the humans. To awaken them. Only with them will we stand a chance. The council members exchanged uneasy glances. It had been their sacred mission for centuries to protect Earth without revealing themselves. The power they wielded was too great, too dangerous to fall into the hands of ordinary men and women. But now, the Tarn's relentless assault threatened everything. "They're not ready," a voice said from the shadows. It belonged to an older member of the council, a man with silver hair and deep-set eyes. "If we expose the truth to them, chaos will follow. Nations will rise and fall. The humans will tear themselves apart." Nathaniel turned to him, his expression unwavering. "They're stronger than you think. They've faced extinction before and survived. The Tarn will force our hand either way. We must trust that humanity will rise to the occasion." The council was silent for a long moment, but in the end, they nodded in agreement. Invasion Day. Across the Tarn Empire, massive fleets of warships gathered. Battle-hardened soldiers prepared for the largest invasion the galaxy had seen in millennia. Dozens of armadas, each containing hundreds of ships, formed an endless stream through space, converging on the edge of the Sol system. At the heart of this colossal invasion force was Supreme Chancellor Threxer, commanding from his personal dreadnought, a ship so vast it could blot out the stars. They would not fail this time. Earth would fall. On board his dreadnought, Threxer stood before his fleet commanders, watching as the final preparations were made. Every ship was armed with planet-cracking weapons, shielded by the most advanced technologies in the galaxy. Nothing on Earth could possibly withstand the full might of the Tarn. "Begin the assault," Threxer ordered. The fleet surged forward, entering the Sol system with a coordinated precision that had won the Tarn countless wars. Earth, the tiny blue dot ahead, seemed oblivious to the destruction that was about to descend upon it. But something was wrong. As the first wave of ships approached Earth, strange energy readings spiked on the scanners. Threxer frowned. This wasn't the same quantum disturbance that had swallowed previous fleets. This was something else, something stronger. "Admiral," Threxer called to his fleet's lead commander. "What's happening?" "Unknown, Supreme Chancellor. Scanners are detecting." Without warning, the space around the fleet began to warp. The stars bent and twisted, and the void of space seemed to ripple as if it were alive. For a brief moment, the fabric of reality itself shuddered. And then the Guardian struck. From the surface of the Earth, massive pulses of energy erupted, each one ripping through the void and slamming into the Tarn fleet with unrelenting force. Ships began to implode, their shields useless against the unimaginable power that now surged through the system. Threxer's dreadnought shook violently as alarms blared across the command deck. His eyes widened in shock as he watched the destruction unfold. Hundreds of ships, gone in an instant. What is this?" he roared. But the answer came in the form of a single transmission, broadcast across every ship in the fleet. On the viewscreens, the image of Nathaniel appeared. His glowing eyes stared directly at Threxer. "You were warned," Nathaniel said coldly. "This is your last chance. Leave Earth, or face annihilation." Threxer's fury boiled over. "We will never surrender to a lesser species." Nathaniel's expression darkened. "Then you will die here." And with that, the transmission cut out. But the assault continued. Waves of energy, unseen, unmeasurable, ripped through the Tarn fleet. Ships that had withstood centuries of war crumbled like paper under the might of the ancient force that had awoken beneath Earth's surface. Threxer's dreadnought was not spared. The ship groaned under the pressure, its shields buckling, its hull fracturing. The Supreme Chancellor watched in horror as his mighty armada was torn apart, piece by piece. We have to retreat," one of his commanders stammered. "No!" Threxer bellowed. "We fight to the last. Activate the planet cracker. We'll destroy Earth and everything on it." But as the weapon systems powered up, the ship's engines suddenly died. The darkness that had swallowed so many Tarn fleets before now wrapped itself around the dreadnought. Threxer could feel it, an ancient force, older than his empire, older than the stars themselves. And then, with a shudder that seemed to echo through the void of space, the dreadnought was pulled into the darkness. Threxer's last thought, as the ship was crushed by the impossible force, was that he had underestimated Earth. He had underestimated the Guardians. Awakening humanity. On Earth, the Guardians watched as the Tarn fleet vanished into nothingness. Nathaniel turned to the Council, his face grave. They'll be back. But next time, they'll bring the full weight of their empire. Zara nodded. We need to begin the awakening. Across the planet, the hidden technology of the Guardians began to stir. The humans were about to discover their ancient legacy. The question was, would they rise to meet the challenge, or would they fall, as so many others had before them? The countdown had begun. The reckoning. The void of space crackled with energy as the last of the Tarn fleet disintegrated into oblivion. On Earth, deep within their hidden sanctuary, Nathaniel and the Council of Guardians watched the destruction unfold. The ancient forces they had long guarded had once again proven too powerful for any invader. Yet, Nathaniel's expression was grim. They'll be back, Zara said, her glowing eyes fixed on the dark sky above. Nathaniel nodded. This wasn't their full strength. The Tarn will come again, with their entire empire behind them. And we won't be able to rely on this power forever. Earth's time is running out. The chamber, filled with an eerie hum, fell silent. The Guardians had always shielded humanity from the truth. They had wielded powers beyond the understanding of the world, ancient forces embedded in the planet long before humans walked the earth. But now, the time had come to bring the humans into the fight. They're not ready, the silver-haired council member warned, his voice heavy with doubt. If we awaken them too quickly, it could destroy them. Nathaniel turned to him, his face resolute. The Tarn won't give us a choice. Humanity must awaken, now. He raised his hand, and from the central console, a wave of energy began to pulse out, spreading across the globe. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but its effects would ripple through every human on the planet. Their minds would begin to open to the ancient knowledge, their potential unlocked. The dormant legacy that had been sealed within their DNA for millennia would start to rise. Is this what we've become? Zara asked quietly. Gods among men? Nathaniel turned to her, his gaze softening. No. We're their guides. They'll have to decide for themselves what they become. The Tarn Empire, on the edge of desperation. In the aftermath of the fleet's annihilation, the Tarn Empire seethed with fury. On their capital world, the newly appointed Supreme Chancellor Kharis stood before a council of warlords. Unlike his predecessor, Kharis was cautious, calculating. Earth is not what we believed, he said, addressing the assembly. There's an ancient power at work there, something older than any of us. But we are the Tarn. We do not retreat. The warlords murmured in agreement, but there was a shadow of doubt hanging over the chamber. Thousands of ships had been lost to this mysterious force, and now whispers of the Guardians spread fear even among their elite. Kharis raised his hand for silence. We will return to Earth, but this time with something they cannot counter. Prepare the World Breaker weapon. A murmur of unease rippled through the room. The World Breaker was their most destructive weapon, a device capable of tearing apart the fabric of reality itself, designed to destroy not just planets, but entire star systems. It was a last resort, a symbol of the Tarn's ultimate power. If we cannot conquer Earth, Kharis said, his eyes burning with cold resolve, we will erase it from the galaxy. The final stand. On Earth, Nathaniel felt the pulse of the Tarn Empire's preparations. He turned to Zara, his expression dark. They're coming back. And they're bringing a weapon that could destroy everything. Can we stop them? Zara asked, her voice a whisper. Nathaniel's gaze hardened. We have no choice. We'll face them, together with humanity. Across the world, people were beginning to change. Scientists, soldiers, leaders, and ordinary citizens were awakening to knowledge they hadn't known they possessed. Visions of ancient civilizations, lost technologies, and cosmic powers flashed in their minds. Humanity was on the brink of a new era. But would it be enough? As the Guardians prepared for the final assault, the sky above Earth shimmered with anticipation. The Tarn fleet would soon arrive, their world-breaker weapon aimed at the planet's heart. The Guardians knew the cost of failure. The question remained, would humanity rise in time? Subscribe for next parts.